Welcome to the Underground. This is your host, Joe Black. It's been a while since we've put out new content, but as we draw closer to the election, I felt that it was important that we talk about the possibility of the president winning again, and how Donald Trump could win on November 3rd. And it is a possibility. One of the mechanisms that can happen through is voter suppression. That is getting the people who are against you to not vote in the numbers that they normally would have or could. And that can be done by a variety of different reasons. One is gerrymandering. It's a tactic for redrawing voter districts, minimizing the voting power of people of color, particularly Black people. Social media bots, Russian bots that were used a lot during the 2016 election. And if you look at these bots, you'll see them, they'll say, Blacks for Trump's, American Mom. And then if you go back and trace those accounts and you're looking, you'll see no personal information, no pictures of vacation or anything. Those are just key signs to see that they're bots. The other thing is intimidation. This summer we saw in Lafayette Park, now Black Lives Matter Square, where Trump deployed the secret police and military with nondescript uniforms. He also threatened to send off-duty sheriffs to polling places. During the election of 2018 for the governorship of Georgia between Stacey Abrams and Brian Kemp. Brian Kemp was then the Secretary of State for Georgia. And he had buses of churchgoers, older people that they got together and provided them a way to get to the polls. And he had those people get off of the bus. He got those people got off the bus citing some type of rule. And this is just a way of getting our older population who don't drive and stuff like that to the polls. And those are things that potentially have cost Stacey Abrams that election. Another thing is voter roll purges. Say is some discrepancy between a woman's maiden name and her married name, or if your name is different on your Social Security card versus your DMV record, they can say that these are two different people, or that this person is registered twice, and and pull your name off of the voting roll. In 2016, 75,000 people's names were pulled off of the rolls in and around Detroit. And Detroit is part of a state, Michigan, that Trump won by 10,000 votes. 70,000 names were purged from the poll. I already did some content about the corruption of the post office under Postmaster General DeJoy, slowing down the mail, having people lose confidence that their vote will be counted in time. These are some of the things that he's doing. So once you suppress the vote, what's the next step? The next step is to maximize your vote. And Trump's natural appeal is to white nationalism. And so he wants to get these people out in numbers, in bigger numbers as possible. In some ways he does this is even with his mantra, MAGA. It's an idealized view of 1950s America. 1950s America, a guy with a high school diploma is the office manager, a Black guy with a bachelor's degree is running the mail office. And this is based in the fear of losing the majority, and that's the catalyst for white nationalism. And in the next couple of years, somewhere in the next 10 years, white Americans will be 46% of this country. And you can see that fear in all of their mantras, all lives matter, blue lives matter, and their absolute disdain for Black Lives Matter, or anything of any protest of people asking for social justice, whether the protest is peaceful or otherwise. It doesn't matter. It infuriates them all the more. And Trump taps into that anger. And he does that by ending diversity training in the federal government, threatening to fund California schools if they use the 1619 project in their curriculum. The 1619 Project documents the effect of slavery and the development of this country. 1619 is the first documented slave to come to North America. And this call for law and order is another call to his base. I will put these ends back in their place. So one of the things is the Democratic Party is hard to get them all together. It's hard for minorities to see themselves in our political landscape. But I will tell you this, no Democrat has won the majority of the white vote since 1968. As popular as we like to believe President Obama was, in 2012, Mitt Romney won 59% of the white vote. Minorities complained about the DNC catering to them, when in fact, you are the DNC. You know, as a historian, I just watched a documentary on Bob Marley. And then in this documentary, the Jamaica Socialist Party, the PNP, run by Michael Manley, and the right-wing Jamaica Labour Party, run by Edward Seager. And I saw this corruption and disruption and all of this near civil wars, these two parties clash. And then I saw in this country that's 98% Black, both of these men were white. So in this country of Jamaica, why couldn't they put their people who look like them up for running office? And that's what we have to do. In your local community, someone like AOC, who was 30 years old, ran for Congress and won. You have to promote people within your community. You have to run for office yourself. That's how you see yourself in your party's platform. So, as I said, how could Trump win? And believe me, there is still a possibility that he can. As someone who truly loves this country, I have the unpleasant task of telling you that we do not live in a democracy or even a representative democracy. We live in the undemocratic state of America. Twice in the last 20 years, the person who won the popular vote did not win the presidency. Al Gore won the popular vote by over 1 million votes. Hillary Clinton won by 3 million votes, and Biden can win the popular vote by as many as 5 million votes and still lose this election. In 2018, the Democrats lost 2 Senate seats and actually won 16 million more votes in that election. These issues aren't, like I said, aren't contained to the presidency. It's just like I said, there's large states are underrepresented in this country. When you look at a state like South Dakota with 885,000 people, they get the same amount of senators, 2, while a state like California gets 2 as well. And that is not, that's not democratic. So, to sum it up, how can Trump win this election? It's by us not mobilizing our vote and doing all the things that we can. It's letting them use voter suppression and not checking to make sure that you're still on the roll. Don't get intimidated. If you see something, go to your local voting officials, and they will help you make sure that people who aren't supposed to be by the polls are away from the polls. Vote early, whether it's by mail or if you're going to do in-person vote, do it early. Voter apathy. You're working against your own interests if you don't vote. Foreign assistance, don't pay attention to bots. You have to go out there and vote. So like I said, get a plan, go out there, vote early, do whatever you have to do, take someone with you to vote, help people to vote, mobilize your community. This, I know you've heard this over and over, but this is probably the most important election in our lifetime. It is evident now that elections have consequences, as we see now that with the passing of RBG, as you see now that the Republicans are going to stack the Supreme Court. which jeopardizes Obamacare, which jeopardizes women's health. All of these things are because of the consequences of us losing that last election. So, and then, my God, what's going on with the pandemic? The president, inept response to the pandemic, and now he's talking about herd mentality, which means we could lose up to 2 million people if we allow 60 to 70 million people get COVID-19, and then that would provide us with some type of immunity, but that would raise the death rate up to 2 million people, which, is almost like 2% of our population. 2 out of 100 people would end up dying. Is that the response that we want? So I just implore you, let's change the narrative for 2020. Let's ensure that we get a administration that has the people's interest, that moves us back in the right direction, that moves us into listening to scientists, whether it's public health professionals, whether it's people who know about the environment. Let's regain our standing on the international stage, where our allies and enemies aren't laughing behind our back again. This president has been the most divisive president in the United States history. We have a clear choice now. We are in a car that's going down the hill at 140 miles an hour. We have to put on the brakes. So once again, this is Joe Black from the Underground. If you like the content of this video, please like, share, subscribe. Have a great day, and hopefully you'll see me again not too soon. Remember, it's up to you to change the direction of this country.